It's a combat weekend. Sports. You already know it's Jayo Sto Sports. Got my guy Day Day in the cut. It's your boy Jayo Sto. Jeez, what do you say, my bro? Everything's blessed?
Yeah, I'm blessed. I'm ready to talk about these fights, talk about these combat sports. Interesting time right now.
Oh, for sure, for sure. This is the way you need to end a year. But last week we had Devin the Dream Haney. He went up to 140, took care of business. Absolutely great performance on on his behalf. His dad, Bill Haney, he's in his corner. He's his coach. He's getting him the right fights. They went back to Eddie Hearn and DAZN and took care of Regis. Devin's obviously younger. He's more athletic, and he was sticking and moving. And the thing is, you seen his last fight against Loma. He didn't look like his regular self, where his defense is flawless. This time he didn't get touched, and Regis is a big puncher too. But as Devin said, he handicapped him and made Regis look like a novice. I just want to say this. You remember another fighter who had a spectacular performance their first time fighting at 140? Tank
Who?
Davis.
Yeah, Tank Davis.
First fight at 140 for Tank Davis was against Mario Barrios.
Yeah, Barrios. Barrios.
Stopped him. And that's why this fight just makes too much sense. First
Yeah,
fight for
that's the
Devin at
number one fight.
140 looked like a top pound for pound guy. First fight at Tank for 140, knocked someone out. How, like, why is this fight not happening?
Because boxing is it's a very political sport,
Yeah.
and it's not like the UFC where
No.
there's a Dana White that has most of the fighters that you would want to see, and he could put on all the fights. All these guys are looking for money. For years, we heard Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua go back and forth over money and over splits. Terrence Crawford, Earl Spence Jr. arguing over splits. Even Tyson Fury and Wilder arguing over splits. Usyk Fury arguing over splits. Boxing is just it's just too much of a money sport, and these guys will hold on to and fight people where you go and check the lines and they're minus 800. It's not even worth betting on. It's like it's just going to be a smoke fest,
Yeah.
and he made Regis look like an amateur. He made him look awkward. He couldn't land. He couldn't get into a groove. Like it was a boxing clinic that Devin Haney put on. But the fight with Tank needs to happen. These guys need to fight, and there's no reason for them not to fight. You have about like 4 or 5 guys calling themselves the best at this weight class, and how much of them has fought? Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis. And Ryan Garcia, he has the clout, but he's not really.
He's
I
not
don't
a
give him the
real
ratings. He's
boxer
not. He's
like
not up there
that.
with the Devin Haney. He's
He's
not
not
up
a
there with the
dog.
Shakur Stevensons. And there's so these fights need to happen. These fights need to happen now. And while these guys are young, and there can even be a rematch. I don't want it to be a situation where it's like Pacquiao Mayweather, where they ended up fighting so late, where there was that asterisk next to it, where it's like Pacquiao wasn't in his prime, even though Floyd is older than Pacquiao. You know what I mean? So or
Yeah,
or
I think the
yeah,
only way that happens is if they're just waiting on Tank forever. And at the end of the day, you can't wait on Tank forever. Time's gonna go. It doesn't matter. Whatever you're doing, time's always going, right? And yeah, as you mentioned, that these boxers they're making way more money than UFC guys. So that's why all the time when you're looking for exciting fights, you're gonna find that in UFC. You're not gonna find that all the time in boxing because the networks, the promoters, there's too much of them. But I will say this: Haney, Tio, and Ryan, they can all get busy, even Shakur. Tank is the outlier just because he rocks with Floyd. And you
yeah.
know how Floyd moves. So he's the outlier. But I feel like those other guys I mentioned, they'll get busy. You know what I'm saying? They'll get busy. They'll do whatever it takes to get these belts, to get their name out there a bit more. And I feel like Tank will come afterwards. But as Tank mentioned in an interview before, he's like, he only wants a 1, 2 more fight and then he's going to retire. So I don't know. The more that Tank is inactive, the more it worries me because Haney is getting better and Haney is making 140 look easy. I already put this out on Twitter. I said my top three guys that I want to see Haney fight. I put one Tio because Tio, he has knockout power.
Mhm.
Regardless what anyone wants to say, oh yeah, we all have bad nights. He lost to Cambosis, yes, but he has knockout power. He made the former undisputed champ Josh Taylor look like how Haney just made Prograis look. So Tio
Yeah,
and Haney, that's my top fight.
and he had a better performance against Loma,
Yeah, yeah. No,
and
it's
so he's shown the ability to be able to box. It's not just knockout power. You know, a lot of guys, even Edgar Berlanga, there it's like he's walking through some people, and then you see him kind of look a little bit shaky. And I think Tio had that. Tio had that. He looked a little shaky against who was it that he lost the belts? Was it Cambosis?
Tio lost to Cambosis, yeah.
Yeah, Cambosis, and he just looked a little bit shaky. But I don't think that a lot of the he's took an L, and a lot of guys that are in his age group at the division haven't had to come back from a loss. So I'm confident in Tio's ability to box against Devin Haney.
My second person that I put down is Thurman because they mentioned they're gonna go to 147 or they can go to 147. I believe they can, but not against elite guys. Like he's not gonna go to 147 and fight Bud or Spence. Do you
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah,
This is why he's not about belts anymore. He already is the youngest ever boxer to win undisputed. So it's not about belts anymore for him at 140 because the scrubs at 140. Look who has belts at 140. Rolly has a belt at 140. So it's not even about belts anymore. But I put
yeah,
Thurman because Thurman, he's on his last legs. And there's no better feeling as a young up and coming fighter than retiring a legend. So if he could
yeah.
go up to 147 and retire Thurman, I think that's a good look for him. And then number three, I put Tank because it's probably not likely gonna happen, but you never know. So I don't know who would you say are like your top three guys you would say you would want to see
Uh,
Haney fight next.
I never even thought about Thurman, but that would be interesting.
Yeah,
Teofimo for
yeah.
sure, but Tank Davis. Tank Davis is my number one. Tank Davis is my number one for a lot of fighters, but and he needs to get active because he's what? He's approaching 30 or he is 30 now.
He's 29 now, so yeah, approaching 30.
Yeah, you know, and if you're talking about two more fights in retirement, I understand it's the fight game, but it's sad seeing fighters retire and you don't get to see them fight all the top class fighters that you want to watch. You know what I mean? Especially when these guys are all young.
Yeah, let's get straight to this weekend. UFC 296. Huge main event, huge co-main event. But I think the card, just the card is put together so well. You have a
Mhm.
lot of top guys on this main card. One of the better main cards, and this is why we both agree UFC is a better product and more exciting to watch than boxing. All right, Luque versus Ian Gary. Luque is a guy. Hey, he never ducks. He always right. He has a laundry list of guys, notable guys that he's fought: Woodley,
Mhm.
Chiesa, Jeff Neal, Mike Perry, Bilal. So he's doing what other fighters don't do, a la Colby Covington. What do you think that he has a chance against an undefeated Ian Gary?
Yeah, I think he does because Ian Gary gets caught and Luke is a banger. And there's already a little bit of personal beef coming into it. You seen Luke posted an Instagram post about it was a religious post and then Ian Gary commented something under it about something about it was I don't I can't remember the quote exactly, but it was something poking fun at the religion, and Luque wasn't a fan of that. And I don't know if you've heard, but Ian Gary's been kicked out of a lot of gyms. He's been kicked out of a lot of gyms. He I heard an interview from I think it was Sean Brady or Brendan Allen. I was listening to both of them talk about Ian Gary, and one of them was talking about how he recorded a conversation between him and Vicente Luque because I guess they used to train together, right? And he didn't tell Vicente he was recording it, and that's a big problem a lot of people have with Ian Gary. He's always recording for the cameras, and he is always bringing his wife to the gym, recording sparring sessions, doing a lot of weird things that breaks gym code. You don't do things like
Mhm.
that in a professional fighting gym. So there's a lot of animosity, and I think a lot of people want to see Ian Gary get knocked out this time around. I think people want to see Ian Gary get his jaw rocked, especially for the Neil Magny situation where he made Neil Magny sound like he abuses his child, which is so weird. And then trying to call out Sean Strickland and sue him for defamation because of the
Mhm.
whole situation with his wife. But back to the fight. Um, I my only problem with Vicente Luque is he doesn't move his head off the center line, and that was bad for him in the Jeff Neal fight. Jeff Neal hit him with like there was a when he was finishing him, he hit him with like 5 uppercuts in a row, and just catching him on
He's
his
not
chin
moving
and
at
just
all, huh?
yeah, and it was even I don't know if you heard, but Luque had like a brain hemorrhage or something like
I
that.
heard that. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, and so he's come back and he got a win since that, but. Ian Gary is a big 170. He can grapple and he can strike, but he does get caught. He has holes, and Luque is a badass, and he I think he'll come out with some fire. And I'm gonna go with the younger fighter.
You pick it.
I'm gonna go with Ian Gary. I'm gonna go with Ian Gary by I'll say by decision.
Okay, this guy's not serious. Like, not serious at all. I thought he got retired in his last fight, but Tony Ferguson, he's still trying to get into the octagon for what reason? No, honestly, 6 fight losing streak. And Dana's not serious either. 6 fight losing streak, and you're still putting dude on the main card? Bro, the last 3 fights he's been finished. How is this possible? And why is he still putting his life at risk, bro?
I think that I think Dana does have respect for Tony Ferguson. Um, Tony Ferguson showed up a lot, especially when the COVID happened and he fought Gaethje. When COVID broke out and he fought Gaethje, they were the only ones to continue putting on events, and he's been a company guy. I think Dana sees value in being able to put a lot of these young guys against him, like or up and coming people you want to push to the title or just get their name out there. Those guys that have been on a win streak, like a Oliveira, and then he gets the win against Tony Ferguson. And Tony Ferguson is still a name to beat, and he still has a fan base. He still has people that are going to come watch, especially even if he's on a 6 fight losing streak. Putting him against a Paddy Pimblett is kind of the best situation for him right now because Paddy Pimblett is a young fighter. He needs that fight to break into the rankings, and it's a good veteran to kind of put out. You know, both these guys have there's value in both of them winning because people also dislike Paddy. Paddy's very polarizing. His last fight against Jared Gordon was very controversial. People think he lost that fight, and I think people see Paddy as a beatable fighter. I think he's beatable, although I don't think Tony Ferguson has the skill, not the skill set. He doesn't have the athleticism anymore.
Yes.
There's a certain point, and I think it's like after the 35-year-old mark where some of these guys they just start to look soft body. Even Woodley, I noticed in his the Darren Till fight was where I started to notice it, and then the Usman fight even more where he just lost that like muscle mass. You remember when Woodley looked like a tank before?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it was like an NFL running back,
Like,
like a beast uh of a man, and he lost that. And Tony Ferguson, especially now, he just looks skinny fat. Tony Ferguson has no muscles. He has no muscle definition whatsoever. He's taken so much damage, getting his arm bent off in the Oliveira fight, and then getting his knee ripped off by Benil Dariush. And already he's been having knee problems. The Diaz fight, what was that? The Michael Chandler fight, he stunned Michael Chandler in the first round,
hmm.
but then he got knocked out cold in the second round.
Oh
A
my God.
knockout that guys don't really come back from.
Yeah.
And then the Diaz fight, it was like, what was that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and it's
He
at the
wasn't he
point now for
wasn't he wasn't even supposed to be in the octagon for that fight. That was supposed to be Diaz and Hamza.
yeah, and
And you know
now
he
I
wasn't
mean
and you know he wasn't prepared.
he wasn't. Did you see the he's been training with David Goggins?
Hey man, how much training partners, how much coaches does he have?
Yeah,
Has he had
yeah,
in
yeah.
his career?
Every he's changing coaches. I seen him training with David Goggins to the point where he's vomiting, and he's spending himself for this training camp, and I think he's looking at it as all or nothing. Tony Ferguson is what 37, 38 years old now. I think Paddy Pimblett is too strong, too big, and he's gonna. I think he'll finish Tony Ferguson by submission or ground and pound.
Yeah, and gotta go to Wonder Boy. I have to talk about Wonder Boy, man. Carolina legend, UFC legend. This guy's 40 now, and look at his last fight against Holland. That was one of the more exciting fights you're gonna see in the octagon. He was throwing all sorts of kicks. Nah, that this guy's bro. He's the definition of a mixed martial artist. But this test he has, man. Again, Shavkat Rakhmonov. This guy's 17 and all. No fight he's had has ever went the distance. Why is this guy so dangerous?
Shavkat can strike and he can grapple. He has the slickness in his striking is just I love to watch it. The Jeff Neal fight, when he was getting hit and he was just slipping and dodging out of the way, he'd get hit by the first punch and the following punches, he just slipped them and dodged them. And then the way he choked him out against the fence was crazy.
Mm.
I think Shavkat's really talented. He he he's a really well-rounded fighter. Um, I think he could finish Wonder Boy. Wonder
Mm.
Boy, especially with this being a 3 round fight, Shavkat can strike and he can grapple. So Wonder Boy's gonna have to look out for those takedowns, and I don't think he'll be able to. I don't think he'll have the time to really set up his strikes and be comfortable. Or I think he'll. It's only 3 rounds, so he's gonna have to rush it a little bit. Um, and Shavkat can really knock him out. I
And
worry about how Shavkat, when I was talking about the leaning and swaying, he maybe can lean into something, lean into a kick, lean into attacks. But I, Wonder Boy, the biggest problem for me is he's always gotten clipped. He looks really good, and then he'll get clipped. The Darren Till fight, it's a stalemate. He gets clipped, that it teeters it, and maybe it being in Liverpool makes it lean Darren Till's direction. The second fight with Woodley, he gets clipped in the end of the fight.
mm,
Anthony Pettis, he's beating up Anthony Pettis, busting him up
mm,
the whole fight. Boom! Anthony Pettis bounces off the cage, hits him with the Superman punch, and knocks him out cold.
it's the worst
And
feeling.
yeah, and Wonder Boy's old now, and I don't know if that chin will be able to hold up. He looks in really good shape, and he's a really good striker. I respect him for taking this fight, but like the Usman and Hamzat fight, it's one of those fights that you're taking because there's no downside to it, you
Mhm.
know. And I don't see Wonder Boy. I don't see Wonder Boy winning this fight. I see him with a busted up eye, getting ground and pounded, trying to fight off the takedowns. I think it'll be a late finish or a Shavkat decision.
And Shavkat, it's only 3 rounds, so he's a top guy. He's a top contender. So he's gonna want to win in spectacular fashion. He's gonna want to get the finish within 1 or 2 rounds, and hopefully he could get a title shot. But it just makes sense for Bilal to get this title shot next. He's been on this winning streak. You have to look at the storylines. If he faces Leon, that's going to be a rematch because first time they fought ended in a no contest, brutal eye poke. And
Yeah,
then even if Leon doesn't win and he fights Colby, there's beef between them because Bilal's active online. You see him tweeting beer stuff. Him and Colby and John Anik, like there was some beef there. He was calling out John Anik, and Bilal's and John Anik are boys, and he was defending that. So
yeah,
Shavkat has to get us finished like quick, but I just think even if he does, it's probably gonna be Bilal next in line for the title shot at welterweight.
yeah.
Just it
Um,
just it just feels like that because Hamzat's at 185, and why are you gonna kill yourself to make 170? Shavkat's the man. But I just think it's more box office for Bilal to fight one of those two guys that are gonna be in the main event this weekend.
yeah,
Um,
100%.
yeah, no, it just makes too much sense. You have to look at co-main event though. Uh, Brandon Royval against Alexandra Pantoja. This is a rematch. This is a rematch. Pantoja choked out Brandon in the first go around. Do you think Pantoja is gonna keep his belt?
Yeah, Pantoja is a really talented fighter. I've always been watching him, and he's so impressive. The Brandon Moreno fight, he put it on him. He put it on him, and he ended up getting the decision, which I think he deserved. And I think he's going to defend his belt. 125 is this division looks like it's all these guys have kind of already fought each other.
Yeah.
So it's interesting where a lot of the rematches are going to end up being for the belts, and I think Pantoja is going to hold on to this belt for a good while.
Yeah, and again, he beat the other Brandon Moreno twice, and he's going to beat this Brandon twice. I think he does it also. Okay, co-main event where everybody's gonna be watching Colby versus Leon Edwards. Colby been out of the octagon
No,
for
no,
so
not Cole, not Cole,
long.
not Cole. Main event, main event.
Main event. Colby been out the octagon for so long. Man, he's not a super elite fighter. I don't see him as a super elite fighter. I feel like he just talks his way to title shots. Leon right now, he has that upward trend right now. His confidence is sky high, back-to-back wins against the future Hall of Famer, Kamaru Usman. Do you see do you think Leon, I know he's not known for constantly knocking people out, but do you think there's a chance he can stop Colby, or do you see it going otherwise?
Uh, I could see, I could see him. I
Straight
could see that
dominating?
happening. I could see, yeah, I could see it either being a dominating performance on the feet, but at the same time, man, Colby being out the cage for so long makes me,
Worry?
yeah, it worries me, and
It makes you worry. It makes you worried for Leon. You think this guy's been shooting up and he's gonna come in there all steroided out and just crush him. That's what you're thinking, huh?
like I'm thinking Colby, if he comes out and he puts the pressure on Leon, I think Leon could potentially gas out, and I think Colby could end up winning a decision. I don't see, I don't see this fight ending in a finish. I see this fight ending by decision, and it's gonna come down to, will Leon be able to have the stamina to defend all those takedowns? And the thing about Usman is he's shooting a power takedown, and then if you deny it, it's right back up. With Colby, he's gonna have you up against the cage. He's constantly gonna be punching you, constantly gonna be throwing things at you, shooting, chain wrestling with you, and I could see him overwhelming Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards is in a prime time of his career though, so I could see him also catching Colby with an elbow, something slick. He likes to throw elbows off the exit when they exit up the clinch, and he has slick elbows. Um, I could see him getting one of those slick trips on Colby, but I it's gonna be a great fight. I think it'll be a great fight because
So
I
it
think
sounds like he
Colby's
doesn't
gonna.
want to make no prediction on
Yeah,
this one.
I can't make a prediction on this one because I think Colby is gonna be there in his face, and Leon has a nice counter strike style where he's just gonna slightly just outpoint you, and you'll have a clean performance. But if Colby gets in there and gets gritty, and Leon gets tired, because Leon's shown it before that he starts to gas, you know. But
It was
now that he's had a few fights back to back, and he's been active, and he's able to have title fights, 5 round fights, and he's fought at altitude, and then he's had the rematch with Usman, so he'll be more composed. But And Colby has lost to Usman twice. Very close fights where I think the second one was I think it was closer. I think Usman was doing a lot of trickery in that fight, but Colby being older, I don't know, man. He took a lot of time off, but he could come back even fresher. You know,
I,
time off for older fighters and time to train and and knowing that he was coming back to a title shot. This is the best chance for Colby. This is the last opportunity
this
for
is
Colby.
definitely the
So this
last
this is
chance.
this is a man on a mission.
This
So
is definitely the last chance.
Colby has to give it all he's got, but he has to be careful not to get caught by a knee or a slick elbow by Leon and get finished up against the cage or something like that. But I got to stand on something, so I'm gonna go with Leon Edwards by I'll say fourth round TKO.
I think Leon wins this fight because he's the better fighter. I think he wins the fight no matter what. It's just does he win the moment? Because it's a big moment, right? He's fought he's fought Usman twice. One in Salt Lake City, so not much eyeballs on it, and it's not a big city. And once in his hometown, so he's not gonna lose either way. This is a big fight. It's the last UFC fight before the end of the year of 2023. It's in Vegas. So it's, you know what I'm saying? This is the creme de la creme. This is what everybody's going to remember, the last fight you're going to remember of this year. Can he win that moment? If he could win that moment, I know he could win the fight. So we'll see. He's not the biggest talker. I don't think he lets things get to his head anyways. He's like laser focused. He seems like all the time
Yeah.
to me. So we'll see how the fight goes. Talk about the press conference now. Who are you most excited to see at the press conference? What beefs are going on in this press conference?
Excuse me. I'm looking forward to
I'm hearing
Sean.
Ian Gary's about to get
Yeah,
lit
yeah,
up.
yeah,
Who's
yeah.
gonna
I
light this
want.
dude up?
I want to see. Ian Gary get lit up, man. I want to see him get cooked up. I want to. I want to see Colby Covington just. I want to see Colby Covington roast him
Because it
because those
seemed like
guys are.
Ian Gary a simp, boy.
Yeah, and Ian Gary. There's gonna be a lot of. He's gonna have a lot of guys, a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, it's
This
not just
whole
gonna be
thing with
that's
his
as you
wife.
said,
It's
it's
gonna
not
be
just
a
gonna be
bunch of.
Colby coming at him.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bunch of a bunch of fighters talking trash to him, and it's gonna be interesting to see how he navigates that. And that even made now that I think about that in the press conference, and he did mention that does all the stuff that's going on motivate you? He's like, no, it just makes me angry, and that worries me for the fight because if he goes out there and he tries to have a war with Luke, he can get clipped and find out real quick. So yeah, the press conference I think is gonna be lit and I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, no, this is gonna be one of those presses I'm definitely gonna be watching as soon as it drops. Not waiting for no replay or anything. As soon as that
Yeah.
presser drops, I'm there. A lot of UK guys on this card. Patty, Leon, Gary. I just talking about UK guys. I just got an update. Hey, if both guys win their fight end of the year, the 23rd. Back over to boxing. It's combat sports. We talk boxing, we talk UFC. It's Jayo Sto sports.
Mm.
What do you expect? You got it all. I just backed something. If Wilder and AJ both win on the 23rd, there's a deal in place for them to fight March 9th. Do you see this Saudi thing? Like this Saudi thing seems like it's taking off, bro.
Hmm.
It
Yeah,
seems like
because there's
it's
money.
yeah.
There's money in it. There's money in it. And I think that with all these streaming platforms, you're gonna get the eyes. So, it's gonna be a big event. They're gonna bring out the stars. It's gonna feel like a big event. They make the fighters feel like stars, especially with the Ngannou Tyson Fury fight. They had all
Mm,
these boxing legends there, and all this
mhm.
stuff, and they're gonna make it a show, and they're gonna put the money behind it, and you don't get taxed out there, so guys are gonna be taking that cash right back home. So I think now is the time to do it. If not, if they weren't gonna do it, if they're not gonna do it in Saudi. then I don't think that fight happens. Period.
Yeah, you look at AJ. Hey, AJ not really a talker, but Wilder's one that's getting at AJ more than AJ's getting at Wilder. Wilder wants that fight badly. Wilder wants that fight badly. They should have obviously been scrapped, but I still think it's a fight that makes sense. And I still think it's a fight where you're going to get the best of both of them. Hey, man. Wilder, he wants the smoke. After how you dealt with Hellenius, come on, bro. Come
Yeah,
on, bro. AJ has to think about that knockout in one round, and it took him so long to do it all. Regardless, I'm gonna harp on it over and over again. You shouldn't take that long to knock out somebody like that. Wilder
yeah,
showed his levels to having knockout power. And this fight also, I feel like, so it's a black fighter fights in the next black fighter. This can hopefully get Tank in the ring with Haney because we've seen the guys getting at each other now. It's no more Duck and Black fighters now, not as much because you even seen
yeah,
obviously Bud and Spence. So
yeah,
hopefully we can get that fight March, and then that could encourage Tank to step in the ring with at least Shakur.
yeah.
No, this guy Guan's like he doesn't want to go to 140 ever again.
Uh, it's frustrating, and that's why UFC. We talk about it shows in the what we're talking about. We're talking about the main event of the boxing fight last week. We're talking about the whole main card of the UFC event. You know, UFC is delivering, and boxing better be careful. A lot of the money is in boxing, but the best fights it's in the UFC, man. And that's gonna get there. The MMA is a young sport. MMA is a young sport, and I think the money will get there. You know, guys. It's eventually gonna get there. You know what I mean? It's gonna grow. Boxing's been around for like look how long boxing's been around for. Look how long boxing's been a sport for. There's four belts a division. It's the best don't fight the best, and when they do, it's a lot later than when they should have. And yeah, man.
Like, bro, look at 140. Nah, seriously. 140 has Matthias as a champion, Haney as a champion. Tio's like half retired. He's a champion. And Rolly's the best boxer of all time. And he's the worst boxer of all time. Whoa, scratch that. That was bad. He's the worst boxer of all time, and he's a champion. So it just shows you, man. All these organizations. This one doesn't like this guy. Okay, but you just won undisputed. Yeah, we don't like you we don't like you the WIBF. We don't like you. We're gonna give Boots the email champ. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that will never happen in UFC. Never, ever. But you've one guy I want to mention on that card in December 23rd. Dimitri Bivol's on that card, a guy that beat the face of boxing. And you would never know that, bro. You would
Yeah,
never know that he's on the card. He beat Canelo Alvarez. And he's not the co-main. He's not the main. He's not even the third last fight. He's like the fifth fight or the fourth fight. Bro, that's
it's
sickening.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like I don't even understand how you don't. I think you should they should be pushing that guy from more than ever. But I don't. I think because of how boxing's set up, they're avoiding that rematch. I don't see that
Yeah,
rematch
no,
ever
it's
happening.
not gonna
And that fight, it's gonna be scratched off the face of the earth.
no, that rematch is not happening. And Benavidez, Canelo, as much as we want it to happen, as much as I defended Canelo, it's it's just too obvious. It's right in front of all of our faces. He doesn't want to fight Benavidez. He's saying, "Oh, I'm the king. I do what I want." Like, come on, man. We all know what that means. That means you don't
Yeah.
want to fight the guy. He has too much power. He is too young for like, you know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
it is what it is. Gonna watch it regardless. And Benavidez, what I like about him is he said, yo, regardless, I'm gonna fight all these guys. I'm gonna fight Charlo next. I'll fight Munguia. I'll fight David Morrell. Canelo's scared. He doesn't like the confidence from that guy. And he also knows that Benavidez speaks better English, obviously, and he speaks Spanish. So, hey, man, it's a lot of things not going Canelo's way, but it's all about UFC 296 this weekend. My boy Day came through. He spat a little something. And
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
we're gonna see how everything plays out. It's your boy Jayo Sto. Y'all please subscribe, like, and share. Gonna drop some more content as the year comes to an end. You already know we out ski.
You're